Oh, was spicy.
So the Warriors have to play 48 minutes.
So I see this going 7. I have it. I have the Nuggets in 7.
Ant-Man, Batman, Watchmen, Lakers at 5.
It's money time now.
Yo, 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 what's going on, guys? What's going on, audience? So we out here with another episode of the Ten Toes Down podcast, and I was looking at the new intro, and so I like shout out to my channel, shout out to the fellow members on the channel, Big Nige, forgot your boy's name, but I was looking at that Lakers in 5 prediction. How that aged well. I don't know if he gonna want that change, but yeah. So we got a good one. We got a good show. My man JV should be popping on a little bit later. Hopefully some other guys that I let know that I'll be on live pop up. We're gonna start off with this crazy second round. Right now you got Minnesota with a sizable lead on Golden State. No Curry. Look like Ant-Man took a spill, but he's playing. He got saw to play. Jackson Davis came down with his ankle. You know. Oh, okay. What's up, Big Ron? Yeah, I know the Shannon thing, right? So I'm glad we shit's funny because Shannon wasn't even on first take to. But he's on Nightcap. I haven't been watching Nightcap. But anyway, we're in the second round now, and I know LeBron fans are proudly out there talking about the ratings being down. I think they waited like 2 or 3 days, and they said the ratings are down 38%. Look, we get it that a lot of people are going to watch the Lakers out of curiosity. A lot of casual fans were going to watch the Lakers out of curiosity. But you guys were thoroughly educated to the fact what the Lakers weren't, and it was a championship contender. Clearly. I mean, you can give me the what ifs, and if somebody was healthy and this that, and the third. But at this point in time, I'm very, very happy. I'm very happy with the way this second round is going out, with the way these playoffs are going out in general, because short of my man Giannis not making it to the second round, and obviously that situation with Dame and them, the playoffs is pretty much going the way I expected. I am a little surprised in Indiana. Again, if you look at my predictions of the first round, Indiana has a puncher's chance. Indiana's like the boxer that just throws it. They let the hands fly. So therefore, they can play with just about anybody, and they're up 2-0. It's unprecedented that we had and I put in the description 5-1, but they actually were 6-1 up until tonight. Tonight is game 2, so everybody will be at 2 games, and it looks like if Minnesota holds on, then the home teams will be 2-6, and the road teams will be 6-2. But if Golden State comes back, you'll have an unprecedented 7-1 by the road teams. So now I think we've the playoffs has showed as something I've said all along. Remember, this is the 10 Toes Down podcast. I've said it all along. There's no team, despite what the records say, there's no team that's way above any other team. Like the gap between the top team and the sixth, I would say the worst team in the playoffs this year with Miami. Well, okay, but when it comes down to that top 10, I think it was even the Lakers. If things broke right, because I said this with the Lakers, the deeper they got into the playoffs, they got into the first round, they'd be more dangerous, And it just so happened they ran into a complete team that pretty much exposed their weaknesses. Now, as you see, I've said this all along. When they blew my team out by 30 on opening night, when they blew my Knicks out by 30 on opening night, I said the Celtics are not. Like, number one, I said the Celtics cannot play this way all year. And they did. Who did they? They took more threes than twos. I think they're the only team in NBA history in 79 years. They're going to be 79 years old. It'll be 80. It'll be 80 next year. So yeah, it'll be the 80th season. So this is the 79th season. They're the only team in NBA history to take more threes than twos. Now, mind you, The 3-point shot was only introduced in the league in the 79 season. So, obviously, but with the three, I mean, like Golden State couldn't even dream of taking this many threes. You know what I'm saying? Like, so here we are, and a few of the things that I said about Boston. Look, Boston is still a terrific team. They still have a terrific roster, 1 to 12. Obviously, the Kristaps Porzingis thing is a little bit, it's a little bit concerning that he has. It seems like he's been dealing with this viral infection for years now. It goes in and out. Between the other injuries that he gets. And look, as a Knicks fan, I have a kind of a love-hate relationship with Porzingis. I know how terrific he is. I know he's the unicorn, but he has been very injury-prone in his career, and it's just one of those things that the Lakers pretty much have to plan around. I mean, obviously, their center rotation will have Al Horford coming in, and then Luke Cornett being the third-string center, and they'll play Cornett. They'll play Cornett and Horford, and they'll play Horford at the 4 as well as the 3. So, but one thing I said is that style is not going to be a great style for the playoffs. And look, they out talented the Orlando Magic, but Orlando Magic gave them everything they could handle in that first round, despite being 4-1. It seemed like, but those were until the game 5. All those games were down to the wire. So now what you had was, okay, the Knicks are proving that they're a lot better than a lot of people prognosticated give them credit for. And I see the Cope out there, and I see the Colin Cowherds and even Stephen A. Smith. And I got to call out Stephen A. Smith because it's Perkins, the only one on that panel's making sense. When you say that the Lakers, and I've had this discussion with a couple of people in a couple of sports groups on Facebook, a wide open shot is a shot that's no one's in the vicinity. No one. An uncontested shot is a shot that somebody could be closing out on you, but they're not there to alter the shot. So the idea is that the Celtics are just missing wide open shots. No, they're not. Most of their shots are not wide open. They're uncontested, and they're missing a lot of uncontested shots. But the thing about 3-point defense is a 3-point shooter is going to try to get that shot off before a defender can close out. Otherwise, it's a bad shot. It's a low percentage shot. So the Celtics, yeah, some of them they are breaking some wide open ones. But at the end of the day, right now, they shoot on the season the same percentage that the Knicks shoot. The Knicks shot 30. Actually, the Knicks beat them by 30. They shot 36.9, while I believe the Celtics shot 36.8 on the season. It could be the other way around, but either way, they shoot almost the exact percentage. The only difference is the Celtics take a lot more threes. The Knicks are at the bottom of the league in threes attempted, while the Celtics are top of the league. And this is what is coming to fruition. I made a video on this earlier, but if anybody's in the chat, you're welcome to come. You're welcome to go see the video that I made. But it was talking about coaches. It's funny because Uncut Hoops, he pretty much, I think he made a video basically blasting the analytics too, right? And again, I'm wanting to say, and analytics has its place in basketball. It has its place in game planning. But when these coaches who look at analytics, Bible and verse, that's a problem. That's problematic. You understand what I'm saying? That is pretty much problematic. You know what I mean? So with that going on, you're seeing a couple of guys get exposed. Like, what the hell was Mazzulla thinking using a hack-a-mix strategy? And it's not in the first half, because it kind of worked. It kind of threw the Knicks off, and the Celtics were able to go on a run they got the lead up to 16, I think, by the halftime. Actually, I think, it was a 16. It might have been a 12-point. I gotta, I do these things off of memory. I can't really look at things in front of me as long as I'm using my phone to podcast. But Celtics got on the lead, and they turned that lead into 20. Identical, almost like K-Rod said on his show. It's like I had to check my DVR, and a lot of that time too, because I'm watching a live telecast And I'm like, wait a minute, is this game one or is this game two? You know, so the guy that I'm, watching his telecast, watching him share the game, he, he had shared game one. So I'm looking at it and it seemed like the same thing that happened in game one with the Celtics happened in game two. Down to the fact that when they got the 20-point lead, it was 75-55. And in game one, it was 70 to 50 and 73-53 because of exchanged threes. That's when the Knicks went on that run, closed the gap. Same thing, pretty much same thing happened in the fourth quarter. But this is one of these things when I make the argument about analytics and everything, and I make the argument about there being too many threes. This is the problem. The Boston Celtics are proven this worked over the regular season. This worked against average teams. The Knicks are not an average team. I know a lot of you guys think the Knicks were not contenders. I know a lot of you guys think that the Knicks were a joke. And as you see, the Knicks have done something historic. They've opened they've opened, and mind you, no, they've opened the playoffs with winning their first 5 road games. But that's not historic because you've had dominant teams who've done that, right? No, the Knicks actually 1-2 at home against and we go home for Saturday. The Knicks go home for Saturday. They 5-0, but they've won at the games by average margin of 2 points a game. 5-0 and all close 3-point games. 2 of them went to overtime. So if you've been paying attention, the Knicks are one of those teams. The Knicks are one of those teams that play well in close games. It was 7-2 in overtime. The only 2 losses being the Lakers in the late season overtime loss to the Celtics, ironically. And I've said this for years. Again, 10 toes down here. The Knicks have played the Celtics even. This Celtics group, especially the one with Tatum and Brown. Now White's been there for a little while. Porzingis has been there for 2 years, about 3. This is 3rd year, we'll believe, right? So Porzingis has been there for 3 years. Holiday has been there for a couple of years. Matter of fact, Holiday when they traded for Dame, so it was I think 2 years now. But they won a championship, right? Holiday has proven to be a winning player. He's doing a pretty good job on Brunson, but but at the end of the day, the Knicks have played this Celtics group pretty evenly, and both teams have made their changes, with the roster. But at the end of the day, you got 2 teams built on defense. You got 2 teams built on strong wing play. You got 2 teams that can shoot the 3 at a pretty good clip. It's just that the Knicks actually mix in and improve. The Knicks mix in mid-range where it seems like the Celtics have no mid-range play. And that last play was indicative of that. Everybody, look, there's the FYF channel is out there saying and I know that they're trolling, but they're saying that Jordan mentored, because they got to blame Jordan for everything. But if Tatum is trash, it's because Jordan is mentoring him. Well, we all know that Tatum isn't trash. But here's the issue. The way they are running that system to take too many threes, you get a 20-point lead and 19 of your next 20 shots is 3-point shots. That's just dumb basketball. I don't care what you say. That is just dumb basketball. It's like, it's fine. It's just dumb basketball. No matter how you cut it, it's stupid. 19 of your next 20 shots are threes. And it simply is because you're going for the knockout blow. But you don't when you're up ahead that far on points, you mix it in, you set it up. Again, 19 of 20. What are we thinking? What are we thinking? Taking 19 out of 23s. And this idea that if the Celtics hit them, there's a problem. First of all, you got to credit the Knicks defense. You got to credit, even if those shots. First of all, game 1, when the Knicks shot 17 of 37, the Knicks shot 7 of 25, 28% on uncontested 3. There's a difference between uncontested and wide open. I think a lot of people don't understand that. Wide open is when you completely break down and there's nobody. Uncontested 3, they're looking at between 5 and 6 feet. A defender's there, but he's not there to actually contest. A contested 3 is a 3 you should never shoot. Most people don't shoot contested threes because you're going to move the ball around. It's the lowest percentage shot. It's likely to lead to an air ball or go out of bounds. So more than likely, most teams are not. Even the Celtics are not taking many contested threes. So most of their threes weren't contested. The problem: 3-point shooting is streaky. 3-point shooting is streaky, and the Celtics seem to have no good mid-range play, and they're the prince of analytics. See, at the end of the day, that last play, one defense, good screen set by Horford, freed up Tatum to get to the basket and dunk the ball. They tried to run the same play again, but this time the Knicks didn't pick up 3/4. The Knicks picked up really kind of between half court and the key. And they switched off perfectly, and they got to the point where the best two defenders, the wing stop, Bridges and Anunoby, were there where Tatum was in a no man's land, panicking to get the ball to Jaylen Brown. Again, a Jaylen Brown is standing outside at 3 when you need to. Think about that. Jaylen Brown was standing outside at 3. He wasn't there cutting to the basket. He wasn't there trying to get a foul on an extended shot. See, this is the stupidity of analytics, guys. This is the stupidity of analytics. It's telling you, and I'm going to get into the Mazzulla Hakamich in the second half thing, because I started on that and I drifted over to something else. It's telling you in game and clock situation that a 3 is the most efficient shot. But you don't need a 3 to win. You need a 2. You need to get fouled, or you need a 2-point shot. And Jaylen Brown was standing out there at 3. Why? Why was Jaylen Brown standing out at 3? Why would anybody set up for a 3-point shot? You know why? Because players of today's era do not know how to make a mid-range shot. They do not know how to operate. And again, we've had this argument before. The most elite scorers can operate in mid-range. Jalen Brunson is one of the most elite scorers. Jason Tatum to a point, but again, he has a mid-range game. But his coaching staff decided we're not going to take it. The Celtics took, I think, 6 mid-ranges a game this year. I think it might be less than that. So everything for them is about, it was 48 threes, probably 20-something shots in the paint. Again, they were last in free throws. Again, you would think they would want. You know, shout out to CW for putting that up there. Cook, oh man, listen, I've seen it all. Bro, the material. You know, again, it's satisfying to me that, you know, I know I'm going to go around the other games. Well, I touched on Lakers. I touched on Golden State and Minnesota. But it's satisfying to me because as I've been saying, Boston. If you follow me, anybody follow me on Instagram, Boston has been a lot of weird energy. It's been a lot of weird energy, and it's been we are the champions. And again, you can be a little bit arrogant being champions, but the Knicks are not in our class. And me being a fan, I shout out to my boy Joey. I know he's catching a lot of flack on Facebook. Again, bro, I'm with you, man. I'm not going to gloat till the series is over. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to gloat till the series is over. End of the day, I respect you, Joey, as a Celtics fan, because he hasn't been on that arrogant shit. He has a team that won a championship. You know, he's been confident as any Celtics fan should be confident, but they were arrogant, bro. I mean, look at this Scalabrine, looking at Eddie House, and then you had Paul Pierce just walking. They had to walk to work. Now we all know that he did not walk the full 20 miles. The car stayed in the background, and every hour he would get out the car, you know, whatever it is. Either way, he did it. He got up early. He came out in some house slippers. So he did everything that he said he would do except walk. We all know he didn't walk 20 miles. There's no way he walked 20 miles to get to the what's name. He wasn't even sweating most of the damn tape. But anyway, it was just the arrogance. Analyze the game, you would notice the Knicks, have the personnel to play with the Celtics. I've said this on my own channel. The Knicks had the personnel to play with the Celtics. Now the Celtics were a better team, regular season wise. That 3-point barrage that they took on the regular season, it worked for most teams. It worked for the 261 wins, but in the playoffs, it's a different story. You've never seen a team take more threes in a playoff run. Even the Celtics last year, they took a lot of threes. They didn't take more. They didn't sit there setting up five guys outside the 3-point line for every play, waiting for something to break down, waiting for a shot to go get open. Then you come in. It's not. It didn't work. They're gonna probably blow the Knicks out at least one time. I mean, well, look, I'm hoping for a sweep at this point. I'm hoping that the Knicks win the last two, but you know, they would be liable to get hot and blow the Knicks out. Well, here's the thing: the Knicks will be liable to do better. What happens when y'all try? Hacker mentioned he makes 9 of 15. The guy shot 14 free throws on the season. He made 9. He's a 52% career free throw shooter. So again, in an era where the Knicks will have lulls in their offense because the Celtics are still a great defensive team, you're giving us if you're going to give us free points with the clock stop, well, go ahead. That's my feeling. But at the end of the day, like I said, I think a lot of norms, I think a lot of things are proved out that I've said all year. Like come on, man, my takes on a lot of teams. Again, I'm not always right, but I'm right more often than not. I'm probably about a 90% free throw shooter on my takes, and that's not. I'm not just shooting my own horn. That's just facts. Because if I sit there and see things, I saw 6 of my 8 series predictions ring true. The one, and mind you, one of the 2 that didn't ring true, was Houston. I thought Houston would beat Golden State in Game 7. As we see, Houston got to get shooters in there. And thank God I got Jalen Brunson instead of Fred VanVleet. I know Fred VanVleet when he went free agent was one of the point guards we were looking at. Jalen Brunson is light years better. Look. Anybody out there that still don't think that Jalen Brunson is a superstar, bro, just stop it. Jalen Brunson is not only a superstar, he is the Mariano Rivera of basketball. He's the best closer in basketball. It's just proven. Because even when he ain't hitting a shot, he ain't breaking out of defense, he's drawing enough attention to where he gets other guys open, where he gets a Josh Hart layup in the clutch, where he gets an OG and an OB, shots, where he gets a Karl-Anthony Towns a 3-point shot off his. I mean, Jalen Brunson is a superstar. You guys can tell me what y'all believe superstars are. We can have that. We can have that debate. Anybody that says he's not. I'm always willing to have that. But between that, again, the Knicks, as I said all along, the Knicks are contenders. Then they are 2 games away from being the Final Four. If you get to the Final Four, you are a contender. If you have a conceivable chance at getting to the Final Four, you're a contender. So is the Pacers. Again, as I said, they have a punch. They punch well. Their defense is suspect. You can, when you play a good defensive base, let's get into the Pacers Cavs. When you play a good defensive base, you can stop what the Pacers are doing. Now, again, game 2, the foul strategy, the foul up 3 strategy, came back to bite the Cavs in the ass because, Halliburton made the first, missed the second on purpose. They didn't rebound. And, not having the defensive player of the year, they got Allen, but not having the defensive player of the year, Mobley, in there, and not having Garland in there has, it's hurt them. And obviously they clearly missed them. And, look, this is playoff basketball. I'm not here to judge the severity of the injuries. I'm really not. But I don't know. I mean, I give props to Porzingis for trying, in game 2. I'm assuming he's gonna at least suit up for game 3. That's my thing. Guys suit up. Even Steph Curry suited up today, despite I see well, I'm not watching the game, but he might be in uniform because they have him listed. They have him listed as an active player. So that's my thing. At what point do you at least try to suit up? You might be out. You might be on a minutes limits. But this is the playoffs. Again, I don't know the severity of what happened to Mobley. I don't even know what he's injured with. I know that Garland has a toe problem. Again, I'm a little old school. I mean, I'm a little old school. One of my favorite players, one of the players that I modeled, he taught me how to play in the post. Was Kevin McHale. He taught me how to get position, and this was back when the NBA, telecast used to really show like the players would give players, give the viewing audience tutorial. So I remember watching a Kevin McHale like tutorial on how to play in the post. And he is one of the greatest post players of all time. But Kevin McHale played in the finals famously with a broken foot against the Lakers. He famously played with a broken foot. And do they make him like that anymore? I don't know. But at the end of the day, the Cavs are in big trouble. The Cavs must win Game 3, and I don't know conceivable way that they go down 3-0 in Indiana. And I know Indiana is one of those raucous fan base. So you would have to win Game 4, come back. You got to win 2 before you can even get to a Game 7. You have to win 2 in a row. So really, Game 3 is a must for Cleveland, and hopefully, if you're a Cavs fan, that their talent, because I still believe that they're the better team talent wise, they're a better team organization wise, like the way that the team's organized. Look, the Pacers have the talent to play with anybody. They got some like their rebounding is suspect. Their defense is damn near non-existent, but they can score. And if you can take if you can take Indiana out of their offense, and my Knicks were 3-1 against them. Look, putting too much stock in the regular season, right? You can't put that much stock in the regular season because things change. The game changes a little bit in the playoff. But I think Nick, if I would be salivating I'm actually rooting for Indiana. If my Knicks can close out Celtics, I'd be rooting for Indiana because that team, I believe we can beat more easy than the Cavs. So that's I'm touching on that one. The other series that I haven't mentioned yet will be OKC and Denver. And again, Dagno, what were you the foul 3 strategy? Now, the foul 3 strategy bit the Cavs in Game 2. They played it, but at least they played it right. What the hell were you doing? Fouling guys in the backcourt up 3. What part of the analytics sheet says foul a guy in the backcourt 80, 90 feet from the basket? In that situation, I understand a 3 is you don't want to let a 3 beat you. So why? And there's no Joker in the game, mind you. The Joker wasn't even in the game. So you foul a guy to get them to the line to shoot the 2. Understood. But you're trying to create more possessions, and then you get fouled. Joker gets back in the game. On top of that, then you have Chet Holmgren miss the free throws. Again, look, if Chet Holmgren missed the free throws, you can still play the game. But the problem is you played the strategy completely wrong. My God, you let them get as much clock and you don't let them look. If they're going to take a 40-footer and hit it, salute. What you don't want them to get is a clear shot that they can make, and you don't want to foul a shooter. I get that part. Sometimes guys can get in that shooter motion real quick. But then that's my thing. At least make them dribble for 3-4 more seconds to the half court line. Put a little pressure in the backcourt. If you're going to foul them, put the press in the backcourt. Put the press in the backcourt and foul them. You can't foul. No, you can't foul with the ball. You have to foul the guy with the ball because that's an off the ball foul in the final 2 minutes. You can't do that because anybody can take the shot and you get the ball back. It's like basically like a legal defense doing that. So I mean, it's crazy. It is crazy. Like so, and obviously OKC came out and recovered, but at the end of the day, Denver did what they had to do. They got one down in OKC. They got the game win. So again, I predicted that series Denver in 7. I predicted Minnesota in 6, and I actually predicted the Cavs in 5. That's out. So look, I've doubted the Pacers twice. I've doubted the Pacers twice. Now I'm rooting against my own prediction. I predicted Knicks in 6, guys. For anybody that Anybody to know, I predicted the Knicks and Sixers both on my channel, and I went on other podcasts. I'm going Carcino for life, and I said it. And they asked, I said, bro, and I stood. That's why I first said it on Carcino, and I stood on it. I stood on it. I really, again, I look. I didn't like the way we finished the Detroit series, but one thing that the Detroit series proved is that the Knicks can play in these tight games. You can cry all about officiating because I've heard Celtics fans cry about this year when they got the benefit of every whistle last night. Come on, man. There was one where Brunson got fouled by White. Brunson on that three, Brunson got fouled. Now did White did Brunson foul play a bit a little bit? Yeah, but he got fouled. He actually got fouled. He fell down trying to sell a call. White then comes down, gets a layup, misses the layup. Hart contests the layup, but did not. So there's no contact on him. Same way, White got much less. I know it's a different crew, and this is game one, but there was much less contact on White's foul when White got a 3 free throws against Hart. Hart didn't touch him. Period. I mean, I wish I could. If you check my Instagram story, it's there. I know I posted a lot of shit talking, but it's there. And this is I don't know if it's a Boston fan or a Knicks fan. I think it's a Knicks fan. But he's showing and Hart doesn't even touch him. White fell down and got the call. So end of the day, look, the Knicks ate the bad calls, they ate the non-calls, and they made the 2 defensive plays at the end. I'm gonna touch on because I skipped over it. I'm gonna touch on Mazzulla doing a Hackimich. What again? You have one. You're using Hackimich at 2:55 to go in the game. About 3 minutes go to the game. You got 1-2 team fouls. What was the point? Oh, because at this point, Thibodeau, and mind you, Thibodeau's going to bring Mitch back in 55 seconds later because you can no longer use that strategy with 2 minutes to go in a quarter or 2 minutes to go in the game. You can no longer use that strategy. This is going to give us one. It's going to fouling Mitch off the ball because obviously no one in their right mind is going to feed Mitch the ball. The best time to foul him is if he gets an offensive rebound, which he's one of the most dominant offensive rebounders. But you use that strategy to get team into the bone, to get the Knicks into the bonus. So that at the 4th foul, Thibodeau, I was like, oh, you're gonna keep fouling him. We're gonna leave him in the game because we're about to bring OG back in, and we're gonna leave him in the game. Foul him again. Go ahead, I dare you. Fouled him. Okay, now we're taking him out. Now you can't use it. Now your next foul puts us on the free throw line instead of you having a foul to give. Absolutely moronic. That was the most moronic strategy I've ever seen in my life. I mean, well, other than taking 19. Look, the Celtics have played moronic basketball. There's a championship team. They play moronic basketball. But let's get the Knicks credit. Let's get the Knicks coaching credit. Like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but especially considering I'm the guy on my channel who's been calling for Tibbs heads. I still look. Tibbs ain't out the wood with me. Tibbs, to me, I don't give a fuck about getting the finals. I don't give a fuck about getting the conference finals. Tibbs needs to win a championship because now it's wide open. It's wide open. We, as I've said, ain't no team far and above anybody. Even go OKC. OKC probably still is my favorite if I had to predict. But I don't see any team that the Knicks can't beat. And my thing is, if Tibbs is coaching better and if he's coaching better for 4 quarters, the Knicks can play with anybody and beat anybody. I believe we can beat OKC. I still got Denver coming out of that series. It's funny because it really is funny because now OKC the Celtics are still the favorite to win the champion or come out of the East. Not win the championship, come out of the East. They're actually now not favored, and so same with Cleveland. They're not favored to win a championship, but they are favored. It's weird. So they're underdogs in this series, yet they're favorite to come out of the East, which is again, it's one of those because you got different sets. You got 2 different lines, 2 sets of bettors. Like if they do recover, I guess they feel that they have a better chance. But they're not favoring this series now, down 2-0, which you would think so. You would think winning they got to win 4 out of 5 games at a minimum. So there's there's where we are on the series. I could talk more about. Look, yeah, I think it's going to be a long series. I think Denver wins in 7. I think especially with Curry being hurt, and Curry won't be 100% even if he comes back. There's going to be hamstrings are really tough, man. I know this going with OG and Nobi. You would just hope that Curry can give you at least a game and a half of limping basketball, that he can get his shot off enough. But I think that injury, unless some other major injury pops up between Ant-Man or Randall or somebody, and I still think that Curry is more percentage of what OKC does than anybody on Minnesota. And I just think Minnesota with the height, the defense. So I got Minnesota coming out of that series. So it should be Minnesota. I would have a Minnesota Denver conference finals will be a rematch of last year's semifinals. Just they're a little bit different squads. And then I got Knicks and Pacers at this point. Before the series I said Knicks and I said Cavs, but I'm rooting for the Pacers, and I think Pacers will. I think the Cavs are they're going to be banged up. If the injuries are not going to hold themselves over, and just losing game 2 just was a killer. Like this that was going to even up the series, and you would have feel a lot better if you're a Cavs fan. But they're not coming back. I don't see it. Look, they're too good of a team not to be able to come back. But if the injuries are there, and this is what I'm saying, guys, it's one thing when you predict in the playoffs, injuries can happen. So the idea that no one team cannot beat another team unless again that's the thing too. Next man up, they got Buddy Hield for a reason. Buddy Hield obviously it's not Steph. He's not Steph as a shooter. He's not Steph as an overall player. But you got to throw Buddy Hield in there to get some of the threes. Buddy Hield is somewhat comparable to what Steph does at 3, and you got to go to the plan B. You got to look if Brunson, God forbid, hurt that ankle where he really got hurt, and he's got to be out for at least 1 week, 2 weeks. God forbid that happens. The Knicks got to go to plan B. The Knicks gonna have to go to plan B like we did in the regular season. We at least maintain the 3rd seed when it happened. So, again, if you're a team like Cleveland, you got Ty Jerome, 6th man of the year, right? Well, it's time for Ty Jerome kind of shit the bed. Not being the guy coming off the bench or playing starters minutes, kind of shit the bed. It goes to show there's levels. It really does. It really goes to show you there's levels. So, yeah, y'all traded for DeAndre Hunter. Yeah, I get it. The Pacers can score. Trust me, I've seen it. I've seen it in that game 7 where when they get all their scorers on, they're tough to deal with. The Pacers played very well in the second half of the season, post All-Star break. They should have been taken seriously the whole time. There you have it. What you guys seen in the regular season, like if you weren't really breaking it down, that's so yeah, man. I wanted to, I'm still waiting for my guy JB. Let's see if I got any messages. Yeah, so what's his name told me about the new intro. I do like the new intro. We got a couple of our little sound bites. Yeah. But I wanted JB to get in here and at least talk about some of the games. And look, we eulogize the Lakers already. I think to me, bro, it's back to the drawing board and let's see what they can do. But for all those people, all those Laker fans that want to be in a limelight, and LeBron tweeting about the Met Gala and all that stuff, man. Listen, there's great basketball going on. There's obviously enough star power. There's enough star power out there. Yeah. Yeah, I think I talked about the coaching. I think I talked about the actual series of players. Again, what they're doing over there on FIF right now. Shout out to y'all guys. Y'all are good at the clickbait. But to blame, first of all, Tatum isn't trash. We know this. Tatum, there's levels that he hasn't gotten to. But to blame Jordan for boy, you got boy, I'll tell you, man. Y'all gotta let Jordan rest. Y'all gotta let Jordan and his career and his legacy where it belongs, and he's the GOAT. So I'm gonna get into the ultimate GOAT debate. I'm gonna get into the ultimate GOAT debate. If man come, if he got anything, if JB comes in, he got anything, and if CW might come through, he's having dinner, probably listening to me in the background. The I did the live on Monday, breaking down my experience debating. I had the Kobe versus LeBron debate. Again, look, I didn't perform as well as I should have, and I didn't take the gloves off. I didn't take the gloves off, and they were willing. They were willing to take the gloves off. That's what they do on that channel. They knock Kobe, they knock Jordan, and I tried to do it without knocking LeBron because I don't want it. Like, see, this is what my criteria, and I started to write it down. I started to write it down. I have about between 8 and 10 things that I looked at as I'm writing it down. Some things kind of blend into the other. So this is what I have as. Look, first of all, I've always had this in my mind. Like I things that I look at. So I try to look at things fairly. I try to be and I'm gonna write this when I get it all written down. I'm gonna write it in the comments for anybody that watches this and want to know, because even on that reaction and on the ultimate thing, and I started going in the comments myself to defend myself because they clipped me up, man. They sure did. They wanted to believe that I have a inconsistent criteria, or I have a criteria that leads to LeBron James. What they never, when I go over and explain what my criteria is, what they never let me get into is why I dock LeBron James. So again, I start off building a player up. Like, you got to realize, if you're an all-time great, you're an all-time great. If you're in the top 10, you were amazing basketball. There's no scrubs in the top 10. So to sit there and like I said, when I had Magic, get Magic out of there. I don't understand how you get Magic out of there, out of a top 5. How is Magic not a top 5 player? If you believe that every position is equally important, right? Magic Johnson is without a doubt. And for you Steph Curry fans, come on, let's stop it. Let's stop it. Steph Curry, again, one of the things that I'm going to dock Steph Curry for, and I know injuries might have had a part of it, but Steph Curry was reasonably healthy one of those seasons. Recently, actually last year, he didn't make the playoffs. Magic Johnson not only made the playoffs, he made the finals 9 of the 12 times. I don't think Magic was knocked out in the first round once. Oh, see, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. And again, I'm getting the negative, the parts where I start to dock LeBron. They didn't let me get into it. Again, that's me going into another platform where I know you got LeBron fans and not taking off the gloves. Oh, best believe the next time I go out there and we talk about that subject, I'm gonna take off the gloves, because that's the part y'all don't get. I just, I guess I don't want the audience to say, "Oh, you're a hater, you're a hater." People that watch this might say, "Oh, you're a hater, you're a hater," but no. And I've talked to this with my friends. When I start to dock LeBron, I start to dock LeBron for having a team with expectations that don't meet those expectations. Many of his, like let's put it this way. You came in, your team was the 4th seed when he got hurt his groin in 2019, his first season with the Lakers. And then, okay, the injury, the team fell apart a little bit. They fell out by the time LeBron comes back. Team was hovering around 500. LeBron said, "I'm going to turn on playoff mode." And again, the fact that, it's unfair, the fact that I know these narratives because I lived through them. I remember them. I remember LeBron saying, "I'm turning on playoff mode." But you turn on playoff mode, which something, number one, it's a horrible narrative to make. It's a horrible thing to say, because you're telling me you don't play game 1 as hard as you play. You wait to turn on playoff mode. There's no such thing as that. To me, the GOAT, Michael Jordan, the reason why he's the GOAT, because he didn't turn on playoff mode. He played every game like it was playoff mode. That's the difference. But LeBron said, "I'm going to turn on playoff mode, and I'm going to go to he went to an 11. They went 2-11 against some of the worst teams in the league they played in that stretch when they went 2-11. Come on now. This is LeBron at 33. 33. That was his first year with the Lakers. He was 33, 33, 34, whatever it was. He turned 34 within the season, right? So 2018, yeah, he would have turned 22, 2019. So yeah, at the end of 2018, he had turned 34. He's not that old yet. I remember the game when he passed Jordan was that season. He passed Jordan the game that season. They were falling out of playoff contention, and they lost to Denver in the Joker by 20 points. And then Jordan was and LeBron felt some kind of way because the Lakers didn't the Lakers didn't stop the game. In the game they losing by 20 in their playoff chances. Again, they signed LeBron to make the playoffs every year at the very least. So again, when you get into the playoff, because the first thing, my first criteria is I'm going to judge individual greatness. I'm going to judge you individually, independent of your teams. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm going to judge there's a reason why Wilt Chamberlain is my number 2 because yes, he qualifies with great teams, but he also would have to get docked for having teams that miss the playoffs in its prime. If you're going to be fair, again, the thing about Wilt, those teams that missed the playoffs, that was when Philadelphia moved to San Francisco. Wilt, Wilt's second and third best player on those Warriors teams, they retired rather than go out to San Francisco because again, back in those days, NBA players didn't make millions; they made thousands. I think Arizona and Rogers told the guy that retired. They made the guys that retired. Again, Arizona's a Hall of Famer. These are Hall of Famers. Lost 2 Hall of Famers because they were not going to get enough money to consider going out to San Francisco, moving their family to go to San Francisco to play basketball. That's the difference between the league then and the league now. Obviously, if your team is going to move, you're gonna figure out a way to move. Actually, your team probably are going to pay for you for your moving expenses and buy, make sure you get a new house and everything like that. If they're going to move the franchise, but that's the difference. That's the difference. They weren't doing good business back in the 60s. They're doing great business now. And if you want to dock the league for not doing good business in the 60s, well, again, you had a different culture, you had a different economic climate. You get into all of that stuff. But again, at the end of the day, Wilt Chamberlain, individual greatness, might be greater than Jordan. If you take teams out of it and just look at the records and just how dominant he was as a player. Now again, the 2 teams that he did win a championship, they were 2 of the greatest teams of all time. So that comes down in my that's probably like my 4th criteria about how great was your greatest teams and how bad was your worst teams, or how there's also disappointment there's also team performance versus expectation. So teams that were pretty disappointing, again, LeBron's 2022 team, disappointing. You traded for Russell Westbrook. And I know that they moved the narrative to blame Westbrook for everything. Again, here's my thing. If you got a bad player in your team, if you're so great, mind you, LeBron was competing for a scoring title with Joel Embiid that year, remember? Well, there's a problem. When you look at that team, LeBron was part of the problem. Because LeBron had to play center. LeBron had to play center with very minimal defensive effort. And you can say, well, you expect 36. He was 36 at the time. He was 37 at the time. 80, yeah. So that season, he started off at 36. He was 37. Kevin Durant. Now again, Kevin Durant missed the playoff, and that's one of the things going up to dock him as well. You missing the playoffs with a team that had expectations the last 2 years. You got swept in the first round last year, and you missed the playoffs this year. Again, this is because. But see, one thing that's not going to do is when I start to dock a guy like Kevin Durant for missing the playoffs and being, I'm not going to dock him when he was hurt. Obviously, he had to rehab the Achilles. But at the end of the day, they got swept. He got swept by Boston with the Nets. Again, the injuries and all that, all those narratives are fine and dandy. But again, you have a team with expectations and they don't meet them. It's going to dock against you. It just is. Michael Jordan, when he had, see again, and they're going to say, well, what about when Michael Jordan missed the playoffs? Twice with the Pistons. Twice with the Wizards. Okay, context. We know what happened. But again, I'm gonna put that. That's not enough. Him missing the playoffs with Christian Laettner and Rip Hamilton and eventually Brendan Haywood and Kwame Brown. That's not enough to. That's not enough of a negative to offset Jordan's immaculate Bulls playing career. Where he won 6 championships in the 90s. Well, he didn't win in the 80s. Okay, he didn't win in the 80s. He got knocked out in the first round 3 times. And then he got to the second round in 88, the conference finals in 89, the conference finals in 90. This is the same LeBron fans that want to give LeBron credit for making the conference finals in 2023 at age 28, 38 at the time. Okay, 38. He made the conference finals, but Jordan would have not yet ready for prime time. Scottie Pippen made 2 straight conference finals and lost eventually to the Pistons. They didn't get swept. They lost in 5, I believe, the first time. They lost in 6 the second time in the conference finals, and they lost in the game 7 in the conference finals. And now, the Scottie Pippen that you guys give him credit for only doing anything with had 2 points in that game 7. Again, all of these things are going to be taken into account. Jordan was great. Now, I'm going to look at your individual performance in playoffs. How many bad playoff performances do you have? Like, how many bad series do you have? Jordan don't have a bad series. LeBron has several individual games. Jordan has a few bad individual games, of course, like anybody else. Clutch. I mean, there's so many things that go in. But I'm going to because I look at things in order. I look at things by level of point. I'm going to put this in ChatGPT because that's what they did to me too. They just took offhand what my criteria was, and then he said, "Well, yeah, I saw CW was on," and they say CW was there when we reacted. What up, bro?
What's going on, man? Yeah, now Jordan's the reason why Boston is down 0-2.
Yep, I saw
Jordan's
that. Boy, they're good with the clickbait. I'll tell you that much. They might have a lot of bots in their chat, but they're good with the clickbait. So that look, you got to do what you got to do to get your views and all that. I'll tell you, man. Johnny's a shock jock. I don't believe when Johnny believes half of what he says. He's good with that. I don't believe you. I really like. He knows enough basketball. He knows enough basketball to not believe half of what he said. You saw him last week where. The guy Wally. Shout out to Wally Lancaster who played for Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
And he's telling us a Division I player who played with and against NBA players.
Was it Bimbo?
Played with Bimbo Coles. Yep, he played against Purvis Ellison. Because remember, Louisville was back in the Metro Conference back then. So Purvis Ellison wanted to be in the first pick. He played in this conference. Telling an all conference Division I player who averaged about 25 points at his peak in college. That I won Boys and Girls Club best rebounder. That was hilarious, bro. Like, that's at that point I realized.
Yeah, I was like, I'm wondering if he was trolling about that.
Yeah, he was. He
okay.
He couldn't have been serious. But that's what they do, man. That's what they do.
Yeah, I mean, I know that's just why.
I was watching Gil's Arenas. They had I love Gil. I will say this. It's good. Gil's 6 is kind of crazy. Shout out to Gil for giving the next credit. You understand what I'm saying? Shout out to Gil for getting the next credit.
Yeah,
but,
he had a Knicks uniform, everything on today. The Knicks gear.
Yeah. And but they have good analysis because they break it down from a player perspective. Again, I don't agree with everything. This is what happens, and I've said this again when we get into the ultimate GOAT debate, and I said this in one of the guys in the comments on when they clipped me up on Go Chase Kingdom. You ask 10 different guys, you're gonna have 10 different top 10 lists. Mm-hmm. This is a subjective argument. It's never a right. Me and yours. Like I don't have Duncan in my top 5. Now I don't disrespect Duncan and have him like 27. I got him 14, 15, 16-ish. And I'm going to look when I look at my criteria and I start to, but it could be one thing that I'm looking at. I might give Duncan a little bit more credit for, a little less credit for. Like, I have Moses over Duncan. And that's just because Moses was so damn dominant, man. But that's, again, like, that's not It's not like I got. That's not like I got Jack Sigma over Duncan. You know what I'm saying? Jack Sigma was a great player too. But you know what I'm
I
saying?
mean, he
It's
was
not like I
good
got
too,
Frank. Yeah, it's not like I got Frank Burkowski over Duncan, and that's that. You know
Oh
what I'm
well,
saying?
let's hope
So the
not.
subjectivity of the argument, the subjectivity of the discussion is there's never a right or wrong answer. The answer is when we start the debate, I ask you what your criteria is. And again, see, that's what they try to do, but they never let me get through because my criteria is not like I got 10 different things. Now, I put three down. I put three
Mhm.
down. I'm gonna write the rest of it later, and I'm gonna put it in the comments on the video on video on both our platforms. But the first thing I look at is individual greatness, and here's what I said: individual greatness. Players are compared to each other by ability, regardless of their team or team success. So I'm not taking team success into that, right?
Okay,
So
okay,
if
that's
I'm
interesting.
yeah, you see what I'm saying? So at that point, like let's just say I'm comparing Dominique Wilkins to Scottie Pippen. I think individual greatness and ability that Dominique Wilkins, because let's all be told, Dominique Wilkins is a superior scorer to Scottie Pippen, and I think almost an equal defender. Now people will say crazy. Oh, how many? No. Scott Dominique could defend. Like Scotty could defend as well. Obviously, Scotty was an amazing defender, but Dominique could defend. The problem is he was never going to get any All NBA defense credit because he was on an average team. So if you're going
Yeah,
to look at it like, if I needed to stop, I can count on Dominique to stop somebody. Let's put it this way: Dominique against Bird, Pippen against Bird. Both of them motherfuckers are going to get lit up. You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
Both of them will get like, yeah. Both of them will
And
get
just
lit
to your
up. So you're
point,
gonna
I just want to say shout out Dominique Wilkins is actually my third cousin on my mom's side. So
okay, so you related to the Wilkins crew. Okay, okay.
yeah.
So
So
Gerald
Dominique
and
and Gerald,
what's the
yep,
name? You got
yep.
it. Was Damien was his nephew. It's funny. It's funny because I was actually trying to research what's the highest scoring bloodline in the NBA, and you know what's crazy is LeBron. The Jameses are probably number one, right?
Which is crazy, which is
The
sad
highest
too,
scoring
because
bloodline, yeah, because now they have
it's
multiple
it's one sided.
multiple
Yep.
family. Vince Carter and T Mac, both of them are around 20 something thousand. Well, I wonder. Matter of fact, I think my big Vince Carter and T Mac might be ahead of LeBron right now. But I think T Mac's career got cut short. Carter played longer, obviously, and I believe Carter got to about 23, 24. So they might be together. They
Yeah.
might be ahead. But the Bryants, Kobe, and Joe, RIP to the both of them. You got some crazy blood. When you start to research and see who was like, Kevin Love's father played. He just passed away as well. Kevin Love's father played in the league
I didn't know that. I
briefly.
didn't know that.
Yeah. He was not Bob. He was Bob Love. I always thought he was related to Bob Love. But it was another player. It was another. I forget his name now. His father just passed away, but he played briefly in the NBA. Yeah, but yeah. So there's yeah. Shout out to the Wilkinses. Uh, the Waltons, yeah, Walton had and Barry. You would think the Barrys because he had Brent Barry and John Barry. They both played, but Rick Barry obviously carried the scoring load of that family line.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
The
the
Brent
other
was
two
all right.
Barrys,
Yeah. Those are-
yeah.
yeah.
Well, didn't Brent Barry win the slam dunk contest? Yeah, I believe one of the
Yeah.
before McClung, he's one of the few white boys to win
Yeah,
it.
that was a
Right?
while ago. Yeah, I remember that. That was
Yeah, he was.
was that 2000s? That was
It was. I
early
think it was in the
2000s.
'90s. No,
Was it in the
it
90s?
probably was in the early 2000s. Man, it was one point where the dunk contest was so bad you didn't pay attention to it.
I know, right?
But yeah. So again, so the second thing I'm going to look at now, I'm going to look at greatness in your prime and the length of your prime, right? So I'm going to judge I'm going to judge a player like at his apex, and then how long were you top 3, top 4, top 5, whatever. See what happens is with them, and again, LeBron fans that delude themselves into believing I don't think LeBron has been top 5 in the league since the bubble. I don't think I thought the bubble was a clear fall off. All right, maybe the first part of that 2021 season, the season right after COVID, right, truncated season. Then he got injured. Again, the first round flame out. He wasn't playing, and then he tried to use the ankle injury as an excuse. You understand what I'm saying? But he wasn't top 5 that year.
Yeah.
And I think again, they knocked out in the first round. Okay, you can give him having a recent championship. He wasn't the best player on the Lakers. I'm gonna maintain that as well. I think he had fallen off from about 5, 6, 7 in that range, and I don't think he's been that ever since. Because again, one thing I'm going to look at is defensively, he's done nothing since then. He's done nothing.
He's not consistent. Yeah.
Not consistent. Shout out to Angry Hoops, basically showing just how bad that LeBron did because he doesn't close out. I've said this again. The idea that LeBron was leading the league, leading the playoffs in stocks, right? Steals plus block. That's brought up a lot. I'm sure your guy, what's the one I was debating with LeBron that brought up all the numbers? I'm sure he would probably think
my man, Sports Talk.
Sports Talk only, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but one of these things that I've noticed about LeBron over these last years, and again, it's part of I gotta be fair, right? Because I still look at LeBron's career. I can look at these narratives. But I guarantee you, I can look at some late Kareem Laker games, and I don't see Kareem just rested on defense. I don't see that the way LeBron has done. And again, it's part of the reasons why LeBron keeps the numbers he's with. But again, if you're going to only play one side of the ball, and that's cool. If you're going to play one side of the ball, play one side of the ball. But realize you don't get to still be top 10. You don't get to be top 5 when you got guys who are in their, and mind you, yes, because they're in their prime, they're in their physical, they're younger, but by the same token, what did I say? You're not going to use LeBron James' age as both a highlight and a crutch. So if you're going to highlight him for still putting up the numbers, well then you can't crutch him for not playing defense. That's the flip side. If you're not going to play both sides of the ball, then I'm not going to give you top 10 status while you're a statue. And again, there's ways to hide on defense and rest on defense without being a statue who looks at most of them. Like they were saying 38.3% on him. On like LeBron James was 38.3%, like players scored 33. How many times does he not contest at the rim? How many times is LeBron James looking at somebody shoot to the leg? Thank you. And Angry who showed that where it's supposed to be there's a lot of guys doing a lot of switching and drop coverage and all that. There's a lot of times where you're the guy supposed to be picking up Rudy and you don't. Well, guess what? That's not going to go into that 38.3 percentage because you didn't contest. That's only 38.3 when he
speaking the gospel right now. Yeah, you speaking the gospel right now.
Yeah.
They need
so,
to hear this.
Yeah, and again, I don't want this to be a bash LeBron thing, but of course, since I'm defending my criteria, then I have to list that. Again, he has not been top 10 in a while. I barely would say he's top 20. Again, the numbers don't support it. You can't tell me his numbers at 40. Well, he's got to be top 10 because his number is 40. No, that's not a crutch. You can't use it as a crutch and a highlight. You don't get to do that. If guys are younger or performing better than him, then he's not top 10. You don't get to be Jordan up until this season, right? If you're even going to just look at raw numbers, Jordan was the best. Nobody said Jordan is the best 40-year-old in 2003. Oh, we got to get Rick Jordan was probably like a top 15 or 20 player. He was a legitimate all-star, but no one said he was as good as Kobe because of his age. No one said he was as good as KG. Now, look, he had some great performances against a prime KG. That's something that y'all don't unpack. But no one said that Jordan was a top 10 player in those 2 years he came back with the Wizards. No one would expect him to be a top 10 player. But by the same token, guess what? When he did play, he was the best player until he retired the second year, the second time. Period. It just showed, So then I'm gonna start getting into team success. And notice, I'm not doing the ring count. JB is in the building. Hey, what up, JB?
What's up, Jay? Hey, what's up, CW?
What's going on?
Yeah. I gotta keep remembering when you tell me
any LBJ show up, or they didn't want none of that. They ain't really want none of that heat.
I'm sure some of them are lurking. I'm sure they lurking, and I know. I'm sure they lurking. They might not have liked what they was hearing. I'm gonna spit the truth, man. I'm gonna spit the truth, bro. They over there on FYF blaming Jordan for what what's the
Man,
name?
I saw that.
Jason Tatum being trash. Come on,
For
man.
Boston,
I saw that
Boston
nut.
losing because of Jordan.
Boston
That
lose
nigga-
because of Jordan.
that nigga-
Like Jordan gives a fuck about Boston Celtics, right? It's funny right now. On my TV screen, I got YouTube playing, so it's going from video to video, and it's the famous Shaq and Kobe interview. That sit down, and it was great to see. Right, I'm so glad they did that before Kobe left us. And you just watch that interview, and you get an idea of what champions talk about. So I really tried to use that. I really tried to use the excerpts that I got from that in that debate rather than numbers. And again, they want numbers, right? So, they want numbers over there. But I was saying, like, you never see Shaq would sit there and say, at no point would he say, I carried you, Kobe. No, Shaq was, these are two champions saying, we needed each other. We don't win those championships without each other. We do not win those championships without each other. What's up, Woodage? So yeah, man, like, bro, then you got a Phil Jackson episode. Listen to champions, guys. Stop looking at numbers. So okay, then we get it, like the fourth quarter period, I'm gonna look at personal record. Because one thing they couldn't understand why I had Will up there with only 2 championships, right? I have Kareem in my top 10 with only 2. I mean, not Kareem, Hakeem with only 2 championships. But I'm gonna look at the fact that Hakeem was one of the most two greatest defenders I've ever seen. I think he's one of the top 2 defenders of all time. Him and Bill Russell are the 2 greatest defenders of all time. The 2 greatest. So with that, he fits my criteria of winning the championship, having great individual success, great team success. Again, at what point was Hakeem in his career? When did he stop being a top 3 player, top 5 player, top 10 player? I would say his whole career, even from his rookie year, he was a top 10 player. So until he got old, about 98, 99 season, he was a top 10 player for about 14 years. So that's one of the things. And again, yeah, shout out Woodies, man. Shout out there. He was the GOAT because of his total. See, what they try to do is say, well, LeBron checks all these boxes. See, what they didn't get into is where I start docking LeBron. And as I said on Monday, I dock LeBron when you have teams with expectations. It fell like you didn't have, the Wizards didn't have expectations. The early Bulls didn't have expectations. They had expectations to get in the playoffs, get some experience, maybe stay competitive in the game. But the Celtics were a superior team. The Celtics wipe the floor with everybody. You think they're not going to wipe the floor with a young Jordan? The same way they want grace for LeBron. Mind you, you compare the 86 Celtics to the 07 Spurs. I know recency bias, but bro, where was Mike? Where was the old Michael Finley on the 86 Celtics? Where was the 87 Celtics? Where was Fabricio Alberto? He was a starter on that team, fellas. I know you guys love Duncan, and I know CW, you being a Spurs fan. You think the 07 Spurs were as good as the 86 Celtics by any stretch of the imagination?
They were not. They weren't even
okay.
They weren't a great Spurs team to me.
That wasn't even the best Spurs team. Thank you. No. That wasn't even the best Spurs team, but they got swept. And again, not only did they get swept, so now I'm going to also look at the fact that LeBron. Yeah, they won a championship, but they won a championship in a weak, low scoring era, whatever. Again, I'm not gonna, because one thing I try not to do is if the era is low scoring, I'm not gonna say, oh well, they scored more than 60s, they scored more than 80, they play better basketball. No, guess what? I'm gonna judge it by what the basketball was like what the basketball was. So I'm not even going to skew things by era. Like in the 60s, the only one why I discriminate against is the pre-segregation. The segregated era.
Real
Go ahead,
quick,
what happened?
Jay Randall had 11 assists tonight.
Oh yeah,
11.
Listen. Props to Julius. Props to my boy Juju. The great. He doesn't get credit for being the playmaker that he is. You know what I'm saying? Like, props to Juju. For sure. You know, so the only era where I discriminate against it would be the segregation era. When there wasn't no brothers in the league, yeah, I'm not considering you guys. Like, I'm not. I mean, Mikey is in my top 75, but Mikey doesn't. He doesn't get because it's funny. It's funny again when it comes down to Knicks history. I told you this before, JB, that we had because of the City College scandal. There were a lot of guys that should have came to the Knicks, but then the teams of the 5 teams that were here in New York, like NYU and all those were big time college teams in the 90s, in the 50s. But then those players pretty much got penalized. Even the ones that were involved and the ones that even weren't involved, but they just got the stigma. And so we didn't get a guy that could have came in there and gave Mike a challenge. They played for Manhattan College. So if you're gonna look at history, that's one of the things, man. So, but yeah, I try not to discriminate by era. Like, end of the day, if you were best player in your era, then I'm gonna just judge that. I'm not going to sit there and talk about there being 9 teams in the 60s because that's not fair. As Will Russell said, like there were only 80 jobs. So I played against the 80 best players. I didn't play against 400 best. I didn't play against the 500 best player in the world.
It was crazy about that logic is, or the lack thereof is, it all has to have a starting point. So it's like what we see today is an extension of what started then, but they had to lay the framework to make the NBA
what it is now,
long-standing. To say, you know what, man, this NBA, man, hey, we can really turn this into something. But it took those players from the beginning to establish it. They had to set the standard. They set the standard, and then it just carried over from decade to decade to decade. So when you say that's just like, let's say 20 years from now they add an additional 5-6 teams, are you gonna say, well, shit, back in 2010 it was only 30 teams in the league, now it's 40 teams? You can't look at it like that. It is what it is. It's just about what you did when you played, how you competed.
See, Gregory, I'm not. You can't I'm not dismissing the before the merger because again, you still had great basketball in the 60s. Like, I'm not going to dismiss before the merger because again, like I said, you had a league that wasn't segregated. How you going to dismiss Oscar Robinson's whole career? Oscar Robinson was good enough to help Kareem win his first championship. You understand what I'm saying? Oscar Robinson, a lot of old heads will tell you he was better than Jordan. And I'll take that for grain of, for what it's worth. And maybe if you're in a league that's got 2017, maybe Cincinnati gets a few championships. But unfortunately, they had to go up against the Celtics, which were well built. Who didn't have free agency. See, a lot of things that went on back then that you have to take into account. But what I'm saying is, I'm just going to take into account what you did. Bill Russell, put it this way. At that point, you got a league with Bill Russell, Jerry West, Oscar Robertson, Elgin Baylor, Will Chamberlain. Those are the top 5 players, right? Those top 5 players, and I think those are 5 guys you could throw in any era, and they would have an immediate impact. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, since he was running gun, they played a different style, whatever. Again, that high pace that they played. Well, you had to be in shape to play that high pace. So I'm not gonna fault you for doing that. You know what I mean?
I tell you what, man. What I'm noticing about the playoffs, the 3-point shot losing its significance because you got. Now don't get me wrong. It's going to be here, but I don't think that's going to be the impetus of you winning. Like with more physicality on defense, those players who rely on the 3-point shot, with regularity in the fourth quarter, they're not really hitting the shot because that toll of having to, respond to that physicality throughout the course of the game, your 3-point shot ain't there. So therefore, you're gonna have to execute. And I think that's a large reason why New York is up 2-0 against Boston. I think it's kind of coming full circle. And I I think that's going to be a good thing for the league, man.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
you're
good
right.
playoff, though. I
You're
can't
right.
wait.
You're right because what you like I was discussing earlier. You get the shot. Like the shot itself is good when it's used correctly.
When it's
And
used correctly.
you see what overusage does. You see what making that your first, second, and third choice of offense does. So the idea, like I said, they think that okay, when we run enough 3-point, eventually they'll start going down. But you go to show you can blow a lead. Taking too many threes can help you blow a lead, and that's what it did. Because the Knicks were taking what was opportune. They were looking for what their offense is, and I said it all season. Again, I said it all season. It's not going to work. So, I said if they're going to take as many threes and they're going to just stand outside 3-point line, it's not going to. Now, Gregory said, we guys supposed to follow that with every sport. No, I'm glad you said that because notice one thing we don't do in baseball and football is down the pass. Like the 60s only had baseball only had 14 teams, right? They had 6 or 7 teams in each league. They had no it was just the World Series. There was no the championship series didn't come into the 70s actually.
Yeah,
I believe 69, 70, whatever. You finally had a championship series where you made 2 divisions. So you got to understand, like the cities weren't as big. The cities were still growing at that time. So you didn't have big you didn't have like big markets to be able to host. Like basically the 50s, nobody lived in California. So basically in the 50s, that's when all the teams started going out to California. The Lakers didn't come to. Matter of fact, the Lakers didn't come to the LA until '62, right?
Yeah, right.
It was
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Jerry
right.
West. Jerry West.
I think
Yeah,
that
Jerry
was
West.
after Elgin Baylor, after his rookie year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was West was drafted to the Minneapolis Lakers. So you didn't even have a team in LA. LA was growing, but and it was the Hollywood was helping it grow. But you had a completely different America, man. So one thing they don't do is they don't knock the players of the past, saying you only played in a 14-team league. They don't knock Babe Ruth. Again, one of the reasons what people won't understand that I have Wilt as my number 2. That would be like, okay, what if Babe Ruth stayed with the Boston Red Sox, and he didn't win all the championships that he won with the Yankees, and they never won a championship. That's almost like Babe. That's almost like what would you not consider Babe Ruth with all those numbers, with the 714 home runs, and still having a damn near Hall of Fame pitching career before you even switched to hitting? Would you consider would you not put Babe Ruth in the top 5? I think that the Wilt disrespect is crazy when this guy owns the record books, man. He owns the record books. When they're like, oh no, LeBron had no. I said the Wilt had. I told them the other night. I told them on Saturday, and we reacted on Monday. Wilt has the most all-time records. No, LeBron. No, LeBron does not have the most all-time records. He has the most made-up parameters, like the most triple doubles on Sundays type of shit like that. Probably, you know what I'm saying? But when I'm talking about points in a game, points in a quarter, like these are all records, right? Points in a game, points in a quarter, free throws made in the game, free throw rebounds in the season, rebounds. Like Wilt is not only up there with the all-time records, it probably will never be broken, but he's up there multiple times. Like he has a 4,000 points season, right? Because he played all 80 games and he averaged 50
Yeah, he the
points.
only player ever scored 4,000 points in the season.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Like those are something LeBron will never touch. So when I say he has the most all-time records, I'm not talking about having the most points all-time. No, he has the most. Like I said, I said that night, he has the most rebounds of all time. It will never be broken. There will never be a guy in the NBA who will break his rebounding record.
No,
think about that. But then when you look at rebounds in a game, rebounds in a half, rebounds in a quarter, rebounds in a finals game, all again. Bill Russell had a 30-40 closeout game 7. See what I'm saying? Those are records that will never be broken. So again, funny, like I said, if they counted blocks and steals, what would have even more records? So when you look at, that's what I'm saying. When I look at my GOAT criteria, and I'm looking at individual dominance. Again, you can say with the era, all right, I'm gonna even if I sit there and adjust it for pace, because that's the thing. If you're gonna adjust for pace, then we can't judge 90 scoring the way we judge 2000 scoring, the way we judge 2020 scoring. We can't even judge 2010 scoring the way we judge now. So if a
And
guy averaged
basically,
30
these
points,
playoffs,
yeah,
in a lot of ways, they remind you of how it was played in the 90s and
yep,
in the
yep,
2000s,
because it
a
slows
mixture of
down.
both.
Trust me, it slowed
That's
down.
fact.
It
Fact.
slowed down. These guys that scoring 115 a night in the regular season, that's not necessarily playing out in the playoffs.
Yep.
It's not.
Now, what
You know.
OKC did last night, they unleashed the funk. There's like, that's one of them games where it was like, yeah, we're gonna be here for some years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think that was
Yeah.
more of a like they got so much talent, like we just finna unleash it. And then Denver was like, you know what, we got that first game and we're just gonna get ready for the game. That was one of them type of games. But before, game in, game out, the scores have been low, but it leads to better basketball.
Yep.
And like I said,
Yeah.
with the defense being played the way it is, they ain't hitting that 3-point shot, like we've been accustomed to seeing, in recent time. So cats gonna have to develop that. They're gonna have to execute the half court set, and I think that's gonna necessitate the reliance on having prominent centers. The
For
scoring,
sure.
primary
That's
scoring.
supposed to know which coaches know basketball and which don't. When you have to play half court, you got to know basketball. So
You know this Golden State side at Quentin Post tonight, right? So even come back to that. Golden State started their only 7-footer, and for those for a guy like JJ Redick who thought they could with an old team with a foot. Here's the problem: you're going to play small ball with a 40-year-old who don't want to play defense, who don't want to close out on every play. Well, okay.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, man.
I don't know if you caught the beginning or you might watch it back, but I went in on these coaches. Did you see my video earlier? Would you get a chance to watch it, C-Dub?
Oh yeah, I watched it. Yeah.
Yeah. I went in on the coaches. I went in because all these coaches they're outsmarting themselves. Again, last night, what Joe Mazzulla did with Mitchell Robinson, like it was just like, did you not realize
Hacker Robinson?
Yeah,
Hacker Robinson till we got in the penalty, and now of course we're gonna take him out. You didn't get Mitch at the free throw line, which was your goal. I still think if Mitch makes 50%, it's a dumb strategy, especially considering where you get points where your team can defend us without that. Right, so you're trying to. It just didn't make sense, especially when you're up by 20. When you were up by 20 at least to give us free points.
That's the gospel again, because you slowed the game down for yourself, which didn't help you at all. That's what killed the Celtics. They slowed it down.
Yeah. So and again, all the prognosticators, all that. Oh, well, if they make those, here's the problem: they didn't make them. That's the thing about the 3-point shot. It can go away on you real quick. You can be hot with it, or it can go away with you. So street shooting itself is a streaky, so it's better to get I keep saying this, I keep having this debate with Johnny and them. You have to have a good garden variety of shooting. You can't just, you can't do one or the other. The 3-and-D attack does not work. The best team, the best scorers, and the best players are all 2-3 level scorers. And again, they think Jordan wasn't a 3-level scorer, which is ridiculous. Well, look at his 3-point shot. It was only good when they pushed in the line, and look at again, they don't realize George stopped using it the last 2 years. It wasn't and again, him being a 3-level scorer, meaning he would make mid-range, he would make long twos, and he would make a 3 when needed if it was called upon. But most likely he was not, like, nobody shot 20. The team that shot the most threes back in 98, 99 was about 15, 16 a game. Now they shoot that in a quarter. I mean, as you've seen, the Celtics shot 19 threes. Now, the Bulls, at any point, if the Bulls were playing against the Celtics, they would have blew them off the floor, because you're playing analytics. When you shoot 19 threes,
they're going to run them right off their 3-point line. That's what they're going to
do. First of all, you're running them off the 3-point line with the Knicks. Again, a lot of those shots that they missed and what they say were uncontested, but they were rushed because the contest was coming. You're trying to beat the contest.
Yep.
That's what with Stephen A. Again, Stephen A. was like, well, if we make 2, what if the Knicks made them? If the Knicks made our free throws, we missed 14 free throws. Again, Mitch missed 7 of them, but I saw Cam Payne miss both his free throws. Brunson kept missing free throws. But they make the free throws and we talking the same thing. So, look, again, this is me sticking up for my Knicks, but it just goes to show you where a strategy that looks good, it looks good on paper, but you run to a team that can slow you down and chase you off that 3. And that's the key to what I said before the series. If the Knicks chase the Celtics off their 3 and rebound the misses, they will be fine. They will actually play with the Lakers. And I jumped off the window. I said Knicks is 6. Look, this wasn't just a blind faith pick, right? No, I gave the reasons why I thought the Knicks would win this series. And trust me, it's playing out more perfectly than I could imagine. I thought we'd be at 1-1. I thought I predicted we would get at least 1. So now we're a little bit ahead of schedule, for what I predicted. But that's the thing. If you want to play one way, it's going to be easy. That's with my Knicks. We play one way too much. But then, as they were saying on Gil Arenas, this is the thing about basketball. The Celtics they're too much of a communal team where they want everybody to get an equal opportunity to shoot. And Gil was like, no, in playoff basketball, you go to your best 2 players. You let them get 6-7 shots, and if Derek White and Drew Holiday gets 1 or 2 shots residually, but you want to run everything through your best players. And that's what they weren't doing. You know what I'm saying? They weren't doing that. We're gonna just move the ball around, and whoever gets the best shot will take it. Well, guess what? If you're not putting the ball in mind you, and your best players are not. What are they? 12 or 31 combined? I mean, they're in the 30s. I know the Brown and Tatum combined are in the 30% shooting range. So yeah, that's gonna be a problem. And look, the Knicks' best 2 players. Karl-Anthony Towns was after he picked up the fouls was non-existent, and then Brunson, played great in game 1. Game 2, he was more of a facilitator. Oh, it's funny. I was on Sino, and I said the Knicks got 5 guys in the starting lineup who get 20 in his sleep. He said, "Can Josh Hart get?" Notice Josh Hart got 21 in game 1 and 23 in game 2. How you like me now? I'll tell you, bro. Dude was like, oh, Josh Hart can. I said Josh Hart can get 20 in his sleep. The average is 13, but he can easily get a 20-point game. Right? In the first 2 games of the series, he has 20 points in both of them. In addition to the rebounds, the assists, the hustle plays he's doing. This is the thing, man.
I wanted to share this since you brought up Josh Hart. I pulled up today. I said, because I remember what they said about him on draft night, and I found it on YouTube, and they say, Jay Billis, he be co-hosting the NBA draft. He say, and I didn't even know this about Josh Hart. They said he was the best offensive rebounder at his position in college.
Yep.
And he said he was toughness, coming off a championship, but he was the Big East Player of the Year, and he won the Julius Erving Award for being the best small forward in the nation the year entering the NBA draft. I didn't even know that. I knew about winning the title and being an elite rebounder. He was Big East Player of the Year. And he won the Julius Erving Award. I didn't even know they had an award after Julius Erving. I didn't know that. But I just sat there, man. I said, and like I said, man, I'm not gonna try to make this a Laker thing, man. I ain't gonna do that. But at the end of the day, they gonna sit here and say we had no talent, but potentially we can have 3 young soldiers in the conference finals.
They need to definitely look. The whole thing now. They want to tease Joey. They want to tease Joey for again. I said, I respect Joey.
Yeah, I see that it ain't cool, but like I said, they show who they are.
Look, you're gonna catch it. But the funny part is the guy doing it. The guy doing it is your man Cross. Again, I invited him to come up. He ain't pull up. But bro, you with Ghost, and then you didn't come out until to Golden State. He didn't say nothing between the Lakers getting eliminated and Golden State coming out and winning, right? And so all of a sudden, when Golden State had that lead, all of a sudden he's posted. You know, come on, man. These guys are so full of it, bro. But whatever. But like I said, I respect Joey because Joey never talked arrogantly. He realized the Knicks
No, he
were,
cool, man. He real cool,
obviously
man.
he was
So
confident.
I hate they doing that to him, but you know, you just have to, you know.
Hold on 1 second, because I turned my one thing off. 1 second, it's my audio. Yeah. So you know, like I said, look, this time of year, everybody gonna talk their mess. You know, it is what it is. But Laker fans, you know, Laker fans are real sensitive like that, where you was right, you were proven right, and so now they just like, you know, again, y'all put all y'all chips in a bucket this year. Y'all won one playoff win in the playoffs to show for it. Now what's next? Oh, y'all just gonna get free agents with mid-level exception. Y'all gonna get top free agents with the mid-level, whatever y'all got to spend. Nah, it's not gonna work.
You remember they couldn't get no free agents this past off season. So what they make?
Yeah, they had no industry.
That's gonna change.
They were capped out. Yeah, they were capped out. Look, you know, it's the first and second apron stuff now. I don't know what the cap is going to go to next. They expect a cap increase. But you still might even be over the cap, especially if you re-sign Luka. Luka might get 60-70 million a year. You know what I'm saying? Like, because guys are going to guys will start getting 80-90 up to 100. So you know you're going to have to give Luka every dime. You know, so
yeah, man. And you know, Dalton Connect, man, I feel terrible for him, man, because he can turn into something, but he'll be traded. You know, I just think it's sickening.
They'll try to take every little scrap and every little everything. You know what's funny? I was saying, Dyson Dan. I was telling what's the name? Dyson Daniels and all of the people that the Lakers should have. Again, you talking about the runner up for Defensive Player of the Year, was traded away for AD. You don't have AD, who he never pushed to be a defense. AD could have been a Defensive Player of the Year, but you never pushed him. Look, I was on I was on Cito last night talk about what Clutch Sports do. You know how Clutch Sports has become the dark side. The dark side that misleads their clients and their players, and you know all in a narcissistic effort to praise LeBron James. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just so crazy, bro. It's crazy. But you know, like I said, I don't want to give that guy too much energy. You know, he's looking to be talked about and all that. So we ain't gonna give him that energy here. But
and for the second straight year, both LA teams went home early. So it's about these real squads, dog. It's about the real squad, man. You can live with the outcome. You can live with the outcome. It's gonna be real, man. So, you know.
Boy, again, the arrogance. They thought they was just gonna walk over OKC. I couldn't even get to OKC. You know, it keeps it. I saw them on. Oh, we stomped the mud hole in OKC. You forget that OKC came back and returned the favor.
The way they played last night, Lakers.
Yeah, no, I was on FYF the other night. He was talking about he had to bring up how they stomped the mud hole. Again, OKC walked through that game.
They had everything clinched.
Not like for my computer.
I just have my line. You need the USB-C? Yeah, I don't even I just have a bunch of them, but
let me see if I can mute what's the name. Okay, having a personal conversation. But anyway, yeah, you know, OKC and OKC had nothing to play for, and then now with all that talk, the Lakers the OKC had to come out the next night and show same thing that happened in the playoffs. OKC ain't gonna play two bad games in a row. You know, that's one thing about OKC. They're not gonna play two bad games in a row. So they had to show the Lakers, you know,
You're not on our level, but as we see, again, the playoffs has exposed a lot of teams for what they are. Again, and I've said this all year. Like I said, in my opening monologue, nobody was that hot, big. Nobody was that. But from the top team in the league, the top record in the league, to about the 6th seed, especially in the West. Damn, Memphis could have been up there with anybody. They had their own issues, and you saw they had a 29-point lead on OKC, until Ja got hurt. But Memphis, without their issues, they were just as good as a top 3 seed, top 4 seed. So the idea that the talent disparity is that one team is that much better than the other, that did not prove out. It's proven that listen, they treated the Knicks like the Knicks were a goddamn 9th seed, bro. They treated us like we were a playoff team against Boston. Bro, I'm satisfied. At this point, I'm satisfied. No. Look, I want to beat the hell out of Boston. I want to I will be highly disappointed if we don't close out this series. But I'm satisfied to know that people know now. Oh, and if you still got people in denial, it's Boston. That's the thing. If you're not making threes, you're not crediting the defense. No, they was wide open. They just missed. Okay, well then that means you're nervous, but they weren't wide open. Again, people didn't understand a wide open shot is when you have no defender anywhere in the vicinity. An uncontested shot was when you have a player in the vicinity, but he's not there to put your hand like a hand in the face. Once you put a hand in the face and you alter the shooting form, that's when you consider that a contested 3. Most teams, the players are not taking contested 3s. They're either going to take it wide open or they're going to take it uncontested. Yep. Wide open and uncontested are 2 different things. But so. Yeah, man. I mean, look, I want to get. So I got at least through my first 3 criteria. I'm gonna write the rest of them down, and like I said, I want anybody anybody with feedback or, again, when we have to go debate. Like I said, your answer's not your answer. Like Robert has Kareem as a go. Like nobody. I'm not tripping because you got Kareem as your go. I'm not tripping if you have Russ as your go. Now, when you want to just say, "Oh, Russ got 11 championships," that's why he's the GOAT. Well, no. I'm not going to do that because the reason Russ, if you just say 11 championships and you're not using context, that's a bad debate. That's a bad GOAT debate argument. You know what I mean? Because you got to understand what Russell meant to those Celtics in those 11 championships. Him just winning 11 championships, you're not getting it. Yep. There's a reason why. There's a reason why he won in college, the Olympics, high school, and the pros the way he did. Because what he did was he was just such a smart basketball player. It's funny because he learned basketball late, but he was just so good. He was just such a great athlete who knew how to use his limited skills to impact the game. And he did it at such a level on such a great team. That's the other thing. They were such a great collection of talent that it was hard to knock them off. And again, you're in an era where, you're going to keep the team together unless those players were under contract. There was no such real thing as free agency where, they were going to lose Sam Jones this year because of the salary cap. No, that's not how it worked. So Red Auerbach put that team together. He put teams together after, they won in 74 and 76, I believe, right? I know they won in 74, the Celtics, after Russell. And I think they won in 7. Matter of fact, let me look that up real quick. Yeah, I'm right here, but let me just look that up real quick. But yeah, I'm gonna write this out and I'm gonna trust because I don't believe in Chat GPT. Oh, you said that, man?
What's that?
Okay, yeah. Now I'm just looking up to see who's the champion. Just fact checking myself on who won the championship in '76. Oh yeah, Suns versus Celtics. Celtics won. Yeah, so the Celtics.
They won 2 that decade.
They won 2 in the second. Yeah, they won 2 in the '70s. Tommy Heinsohn was the coach, and they beat the
I
Phoenix
think that's the
Suns.
year they had that quadruple overtime game versus Phoenix.
Wow.
When what's his name? Guy Hurd, I think someone hit a game winner for Phoenix, and that Paul Westphal was on that team.
Pat Westphal was on that team. The late Paul Westphal and Pat Riley was on that team as well.
Dang, I ain't know Pat. That's right. I ain't know Pat Riley was on that team.
He sure was. Pat Riley had a nice. It's a nice play.
Pat Riley.
Yeah. Earl Strom. Was one of the officials in that series. Well, yeah, they had Dave Coward, Nelly Havlicek, Dave Cowens, Nelly Havlicek, JoJo White, and Charlie Scott on that Celtics team. You know, Charlie Scott, yeah, he played for the Suns at one point. So yeah, you know, look again. You gotta if you're gonna have the go debate. If you're gonna have the go debate, make sure you respect every era of basketball. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Every era. Again, the only one I don't consider is the segregated era. That's the only one. And again, those players just weren't good enough. Like, even if I did, just like they didn't play long enough. They weren't, George Mikan is the only one that can stand up in any type of top 10, top 25 discussion, but he doesn't he doesn't get there. But yeah, other than that, the greatest of all time is greatest of all time. So because you didn't see a player doesn't mean it didn't count. People ask me that. I said this during the Kobe LeBron debate. Kobe and LeBron are the two players I ranked the highest that I saw their entire career. Other than everybody else, I didn't see that. I didn't see the start of Magic. I didn't see the start of Jordan. So the first 3 years I would have to go. And again, it's the only thing they want to bring up. That's one thing I noticed with LeBron fans, bro. And whatever LeBron has done, they now move that to the criteria that they want. You know what I'm saying? Like, because if they would have had more championships, they would be putting that. But now, because he only won the 4 and he lost the 6 or whatever, again, I don't do 4 or 6 as an argument, but because now that becomes standard. Again, to me, not only once you win 4, you must be dominant. Not only once you win champions, you must be dominant at doing it. You must have a dominant year. The Lakers were dominant in 2000, 2001. 2001, they were dominant. They won 67 games. They, because of the Shaq, not really taking his conditioning seriously. After they won the first championship, they didn't win as many regular season games. But by 2001 here, they ramped it up to where they had a dominant playoff run. So again, you got 2 dominant seasons. In 2002, you started feeling a little bit more struggle. They should have lost. We all know they should have lost to the Kings, but they won. So they got the 3-peat. Well, guess what? Same things. They did everything in their power to help LeBron win. Let's keep it real. His teams just didn't live up to the hype. So again, hype is one thing. If you in 2004, I told them I got Kobe for 2004. Now to sit there and say, like T Perfect said, we shot you out of the series. No, Kobe didn't shoot them out of the series. It was a different, like they were pressed. Like the press that Detroit ran. And again, Kobe was affected and Kobe did not, Kobe didn't necessarily break it and, do what he needed to do. But, they just outplayed and outcoached that year. Phil Jackson was outcoached. But it's funny watching this Kobe Shaq interview. They talked about it, and Kobe talked about exactly what happened.
Kobe said he could have played.
He could have played better.
So
he could have played better.
So he took onus on himself. Saying why they lost. So since he said I ain't got to sit here and try to buffer for him. And,
but LeBron on Mind the Game podcast, what did he do? Well, yeah, I play like shit, but we need better role players.
He said I didn't have enough time. I didn't have enough time to complete the process.
That's the difference. That's the difference. Because guess what, bro? They were just trying to get back to the top of the mountain, and they understood. I mean, Kobe at that point, Kobe was battling with his own teammate Shaq. Again, Shaq showed up. Again, Shaq is going to show up in the finals because you got Ben Wallace when you 1-on-1. I got the whole Pistons defense trapped me out. And again, yeah, well, Kobe still should have handled it better. At the end of the day, again, he did take accountability for it. And you know, it is what it is. But LeBron, you declared y'all were going to win 8 straight championships. And in the first one, as heavy favorites, again, I get 04 the Lakers were. So I docked them equally. But then when it comes down to the breakdowns, how many bad series, how many putrid shooting series? And I brought those up. Again, they wanted me to provide the numbers. Like I'm supposed to, like, you don't know how bad LeBron shot in 2008. Again, I go off the LeBron shot 23% in the first 4 games against the Warriors. This is coming after a season we shot 35.6 against the Spurs. I mean, come on. You have more turnovers than points. More turnovers than made buckets, more turnovers than assists. Awful. You know? So yeah, look, people again, everybody had bad games. LeBron has multiple. And again, he had multiple when he's the main focus and this and you know, when he was the main focus and you know, the excuse that we would guard you 5-on-1, blah blah blah. Guess what? If they were guarding you 5-on-1, you should have easy assists, right? That's basketball 1-on-1. If 5 guys are guarding you, which again, that's a big time exaggeration. They were not guarding LeBron 5-on-1. And if LeBron was putting himself in a position to be guarded 5-on-1, then guess what? That's low IQ basketball. Because all you got to do is move the ball together. It wasn't like the other guys were freezing up. You know? So, but you know, again, these are the things that I'm looking at. And I think when I start to look at the negative, when I start to look at the worst moments, again, Tragic Johnson, right? Remember when he dribbled the clock out? He damn near dribbled the clock out.
Yeah.
Yeah. The problem is LeBron got a lot of those type of moments where he's over dribbling, and then passing the ball up. But we've seen him do it famously in the finals. Dribbling out the clock, has nothing going. He passes the ball. He doesn't get a turnover. Actually, it's a team turnover anyway. But it's wild, man. It really is. So, you know, again, I want to cover it all. It's funny to actually have this discussion on my criteria, and I got through the first 3 or 4 things. But I'm gonna write it down, and you know, again, I would love to have some GOAT debates up here. You know, some guys that want to come through and just put your guy against my guy. You know, I want to get in all the other, you know, the white Jordan LeBron stuff, the LeBron Kobe stuff, man. We can have that all day. There's other real debates out there, bro. I will shit. Let me debate Dominique versus Scottie Pippen. You know what I'm saying? You know, stuff like that.
Man, nobody can guard Neek. Nobody can guard Neek. He had 4 go-to moves out there, man. 4 of them.
Neek was a problem. Bernard King was a problem. Again, these are guys who, when you look at the apex, and again, apex is one of those things that I look at. Problem with the Bernard King's apex, man, it was cut short by knee injury.
Yeah, and man, it was just so great that he was able to return back, man. But he missed about good 3 years there before he really returned. Probably longer than that, to tell you the truth.
One thing I always hate is that they put Reggie Miller, and again, I'm not not to hate on Reggie Miller. He had a great career. Reggie Miller did not belong in the Hall of Fame before Bernard King. Bernard King was just a better player than Reggie Miller ever could hope to be. Even injured, he was better than Reggie at his peak. That's one of the things. Like, if you got Reggie Miller over Bernard King, bro, I'm not. Now we gonna have a debate. Like, ain't no way Reggie Miller's a better player than Bernard King. Not even close.
Man, he was. I remember that Christmas Day game versus Boston, and that was 80. I think that was 85. Man, I think he dropped 60. That was a Christmas game, and yeah, they couldn't do nothing with him. I remember watching that game too, man. Like, damn, yeah.
That's the thing, man. Too, with the mid range being taken out, they don't understand. If those elite scorers, especially when you needed a bucket. Yep, the broken fingers on both hands. Kobe playing with broken fingers, man. These guys, and meanwhile, these guys I'm sorry, I hate to do it, but to me, these 2 calves that are out, I don't understand how you don't suit up. I mean, what is something broken? It's something broken. A sore toe and whatever is ailing Mobley. Now your team is down 2-0. If they don't play in the series, because remember the same thing happened to the Cavs last year. This time it was. It's funny. Ironically, it was the other two of that big four. Spider and what's the name was hurt, and Jared Allen was hurt. You know, again, I'm not going to. Again, I know if you sprain an ankle or you have a major injury, like you don't want to risk the rest of your career coming out there trying to play. You know, because you could break something. You can, you know, but it's I don't understand what's going on, man. But that goes to show you, man, right? For those that say Tibbs ran players into the ground, notice the Knicks players are not injured right now. The Knicks whole roster is there available to play. You know, so you know, yeah, these load management. We've gotten into debates with the load management argument how it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. You the one way to be conditioned and in shape and playing by playing basketball is playing basketball. Sitting out a game, like give a guy. Here's the problem. The problem is, especially certain guys, you don't want to hurt your average by giving them 24 minutes, or you know what I'm saying? Like, give me 24 minutes. That's load management. I was Jordan's load management. Throwing the team out by the end of the third quarter, so I can sit out the fourth quarter like 10, 15 times a season. You know, so I can load manage fitting out four quarters with no, you know, obviously four quarters too are the most stressful part of the game. So if we put the game away by the end of the third quarter, guess what? Almost like like a half a day, you know what I mean? You all remember our half days of school, right? It didn't hit different like the whole staying at 3.
Well.
You know, the half day of school, you come in and you out by lunchtime, you know? But you know, this is the thing, man. We old heads. We gonna speak the game the way we see it. You know, again, this analytic bullshit, bro. Like throw it out the window. It's playoff basketball. Throw the script out the window. They were determined that was the game plan. We're gonna foul Mitch, whatever. But you're gonna wait to 3. It's 3 minutes in the. You're not even in foul trouble. Like you're not in a bonus. You need those fouls to give. Even if Tibbs left Mitch on him, those fouls to give were more important. So you're gonna foul him on purpose to get you. That's why I'm saying, like, okay, cool. We're gonna be in a penalty, and that's gonna help us get free points. That's a dumb strategy. It was. So you know, again, I'm on cloud 9 being up 2-0, man. I was talking my mess to all these haters and doubters and the centers, man. You know. But yeah, man. Yo, so I know I saw you went live a couple times. You got anything you want to promote, talk about, whatever?
Oh no, just I mean, it's pretty much a carryover from last year in a lot of ways, man. I wish Cleveland was healthy. You know, I don't think they would be down 2-0, but it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But I just think when you look at it, you even look at a team like Milwaukee. Okay, Milwaukee, they won a championship. And they probably could have repeated if Middleton had not got hurt. But nonetheless, you know, they gave us some assets there. And I get it. I get it in that case because they've been building around Giannis, you know, since they drafted him, and he had been in the league 8 years, and he found, you know, well, I ain't gonna say finally, but you know, after that long journey, man, he led him to a championship. But see, this is how. Let me put it this way: like in the past, even when a team won a championship, they continue to draft players in, whether it's the Lakers, Detroit, Boston, you know, Len Bias and Reggie Lewis. And then the teams back in Houston Rockets, they would continue to draft players in. But it seems like a lot of times now, if a team do win, they trading people off who they draft, and I just don't think you can do that because you can keep your run longer if you draft and continue to just develop what you got. Of course, yeah, you may make a move here and there, but I'm just saying in the grand scheme, you look at both LA teams absent in the first round, Milwaukee first round. Philly didn't even, their season was pretty much over before it started. Phoenix is done. So if you look at it, you look at all the teams that's remaining, they really built their team up, and now you see it pay off, and it's not gonna go back the other way, you know. So, you know, a lot of them fans, man, they wanted that shortcut, man. You know, they may as well just pull out a cot and just watch from the outside looking in, man.
For sure, because that's what I'm saying.
That's what's gonna go down.
Think about it. And again, this is one thing about LeBron's legacy too, man. All the players you traded for, bro. You traded for mad players. And the problem is, even if you trade for all the best players in the league, that's not going to give you chemistry. That's not going to give you continuity. You're going to get beat by teams. And that's the thing. It's like, oh, it's unfair. Oh, number one, when Golden State got KD again, they did it because they were fiscally responsible to be able to afford KD's contract coming with, you know. But then the fact that the style of basketball they play, he fit in seamlessly. Like, they do like everything, like they're good 3-level scorers. So you put a 3-level scorer in there with a great offense. It was a seamless transition. LeBron, you have to put teams in to fit your style. And you lost to the better team, period. You didn't just lose them because they have more talent, because they didn't have, in my opinion, they didn't have more talent. The talent was split evenly. Remember, you got J.R. Smith, you got Kevin Love, you got Kyrie Irving. The 1 year, you pissed Kyrie Irving off so bad that he had to leave you. Whose fault is that? Because that's the problem. You taking all the credit. Kyrie was sick of that. He's gonna leave. He's gonna leave because he did this to Wade, and then he's gonna take all the credit for any success we do have. But Kyrie said, "Let me get up out of Dodge first." And then it's what was me the 2018 season. You still got Isaiah Thomas. I know he was hurt. You still got Dwayne Wade and Rose. I know they were. Look, Rose. First of all, Wade was an all-star right before that, right? And then Rose was a damn near 6th man of the year in 2021. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Rose was damn near 6th man of the year in the season after the bubble. So that's 3 years after. So the fact that I know Rose got hurt in 2018, but y'all were doing so bad that y'all had to trade everybody off. It was so bad defensively. They were mediocre. So they were damn, and again, they got back to the finals because of weak competition in the East. But, what y'all did, it wasn't conducive to anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, again, these are the things in legacies where, you got your playmaker. Again, if I go back through the 22 years of LeBron, first of all, the 4 years that they won and the 18 years that they didn't, the excuse was always something to deflect off of LeBron James. Now, again, I didn't see Wilt throwing his teammates under the bus. I didn't see Russell, again, it wasn't that many reasons to throw him on the bus when you went 11 out of 13 years. But Jordan never threw guys on the bus. Kobe never threw guys on the bus. Never. Okay, you want to sit there and say he shitted on Kwame Brown and the Switchwalkers of the world? He never said that they were the reason. They're the reasons why we lost. LeBron has done that multiple times, and that's the problem. He wants to believe they're the only reason for him winning, for his team winning. And when it's not, you just build a system around you and then try to work off residually. So there's so many things, man.
Yep.
And so many things that play into this, man.
But yeah, man. But
yeah, you're right, Gregory.
Playoff.
The highest IQ in the game, but he can't galvanize team. And again, that's one of the things that I judge. All your individual great. Again, LeBron wanted to believe in 2022 that he was individually great, going to win the scoring title. Right? Put up the great numbers. You had a team that won 33 wins. Who cares? And remember when I told you and I showed you him tweeting, I'm having the time of my life. How are you having the time of your life on a 33-win team?
It's wild, man.
This is good. Look, all of the things that LeBron say has shown he values winning over that. Look, the Wilt Chamberlain, the one thing that I can hold against Wilt Chamberlain, that I got my points. I'm not the reason we lost. That was something Will had to learn. That was something he had to learn later in his career. When he had to coach that forget who coached him in Minnesota. I mean, matter of fact, let me look it up. Let me look it up real quick. Because that's the guy that challenged him to play differently. And stop saying, I got my numbers, because that you getting numbers is not helping your team win necessarily. Hold on, let me look up real quick. And we about to, get up out of here in a little bit, but let me just look up 67 Sixers. Hold on. 67. Yep, they would be champion. Alex Hannum, yes, Alex Hannum, the coach. They finally got Will out of, they got Will to change his style up, and Alex Hannum was the same coach that coached in San Francisco. Yes, he did. He coached in San Francisco for 3 years, and he rejoined him in Philly. Actually, they went to Philly together, and he challenged him to play different on a different team. So they won a championship, and the rest is history. Next year they won 62 games, but they lost in the conference finals to Boston, and the rest is history. Well, yeah, man, good show, man.
Oh yeah,
glad you could come through. I remember when you tell me 10. That's 10. That's 11 my time, 10 your time. Yeah. So
man.
I'm gonna hit up CW.
Yeah, they may not be showing up for the rest of the playoff. They may just chill on out. They don't show up. Oh man, that's funny.
They gonna always try to find a way to make themselves relevant. Let me see if I can do it. Man, sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. Okay, so yeah, it's not working. Well, I just hit up